Hey Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
Why is there an image of Cole here if you're going to be talking about the meanest Piston Cup racers, as you can see from the title of this video? Well, that is what they're getting for Christmas. Cole. And for those who didn't know, that's Cole. So, who are these 10 Piston Cup racers who will be getting Cole for Christmas? Some might have changed, but most definitely haven't, out of those that are still alive. Now, who are the 10 meanest Piston Cup racers? Number 10, Joey Logearno makes it onto this list and is only 10th. How mean must the other cars be? Well, Joey Logearno began his Piston Cup career in 2009 and won 11 races during his Piston Cup career. During his earlier seasons, he would wreck other cars with Joe Gears Racing. But after he left Joe Gears Racing and after a very specific mean green car retired, he would wreck even more cars. The worst was during the 2015 Piston Cup season, where so many cars didn't want him to win the Piston Cup. After all, 10 seasons earlier, a very specific mean green car won the Piston Cup. And in the 30th race, the 2015 Cartonsville 500, someone would wreck Joey Logearno to make sure he wouldn't win the Piston Cup. Luckily, that car was Matt Karzith. And considering that Matt Karzith would wreck other cars later on in his career, how mean was Joey Logearno? But there are still 9 cars meaner than him. Number 9 on this list is Parkerson, who raced from 1965 until 1980, getting 107 Piston Cup wins, getting the second most wins out of any Piston Cup racer, only behind the King Strip Weathers. So, what is Parkerson doing on this list? Well, a lot of those 107 wins came because he would wreck other cars to win the race. And before the 1970 Piston Cup season, he would make fun of a lot of cars just because they were Plymouth Superbirds. Parkerson was also so mean that the shift rights and the axlers had to team up for Parkerson to lose races. You know that you're bad when Craig Shiftright and Andrew Axler, sworn enemies, are working together to stop you. But Parkerson was stopped in 1980 when he had a career-ending crash. At least later in life, Parkerson calmed down and became a nicer car. A car who still has a lot of his life ahead of him is the 8th ranked car in this list, Kyle Buschtire, who began his career in 2005 and got 12 wins in the Piston Cup. But here's why he's on this list. He wrecked a lot of cars, including causing the largest wreck ever after the year 2000. And don't forget, Kyle Buschtire was very mean to lots of Piston Cup fans, either behaving disrespectfully or, in many cases, they wanted an autograph, but the mean yellow car said no. And due to Piston Cup officials being able to push back on how mean the mean yellow car was, he quit racing in the Piston Cup during the 2016 Piston Cup season. And he's one of the nicer cars on this list. Number 7 on this list is Joseph Robert Hicks. Well, since you saw the name Hicks, you might be asking, is he related to that green car? Well, yes, he is his granduncle. And he began his Piston Cup career in 1947. During the 22nd race of 1947, he would wreck another car during a red flag, which meant he would become the first Piston Cup racer to receive a suspension. And he would go on to get suspended another 5 times. And he would not win a single Piston Cup race because, well, in the 17th race of 1950, J.R. Hicks was in the lead on the final lap, but Rusty Dipstick would wreck him for the win and get his second career victory. This shows that J.R. Hicks was a mean car. And don't forget, he wrecked a lot of other cars, like other racers who are named Hicks. J.R. Hicks would retire in 1955 after the Piston Cup threatened to ban him if he kept wrecking cars. Number 6 on this list is Lane Drivon. You might be asking, who is Lane Drivon? Well, he was a very mean Piston Cup racer who raced from 1959 until 1970, wrecking at least 300 different cars and also causing 12 career-ending crashes and also got 14 suspensions. Most of them were only one race long. And also, Lane Drivon was also a huge narcissist. Why? When he chose his number to race in the Piston Cup, he picked number 1 because he thought that he was the best Piston Cup racer. Does the best Piston Cup racer only win one race? No. But one win was all that Lane Drivon would be getting. And also, he was very mean to Piston Cup fans. Many Piston Cup fans did not even want to show up for races because Lane Drivon was in the race. Well, at least it was all over in 1970 when Lane Drivon chose to retire. Number 5 on this list is Robert the Wrecker Brown, who is one of the first mean racers in the Piston Cup. Before him, Piston Cup racers would only really wreck each other by accident or wouldn't wreck them very hard. And Robert the Wrecker Brown turned wrecking cars into a regular occurrence, possibly inspiring J.R. Hicks to wreck other cars. But somehow, Robert Wrecker Brown would not be the first car to get suspended. He would get suspended a total of 10 times. The reason why he's number 5 on this list is because he wrecked so many cars, wrecking at least 400 different racers, causing 22 career-ending crashes and 7 deaths. 7 cars lost their life because Robert Wrecker Brown wrecked them. Robert Wrecker Brown was also the first Piston Cup racer to get banned, getting banned in 1955. Kyle Trackson is the car who is 4th on this list, racing from 1985 until 2013, getting a total of 7 wins. But why was Kyle Trackson such a mean car? Well, the usual, wrecking lots of cars, some of which were career-ending crashes. Kyle Trackson caused a lot of those. And also, being mean to Piston Cup fans. But what makes Kyle Trackson even meaner than Robert Wrecker Brown? Well, Kyle Trackson would intentionally sabotage races, such as stealing his rivals' tires, lug nuts, and fuel cans for his own benefit. And Kyle Trackson would also be suspended a lot of times by the Piston Cup. And even during the early 2000s, the Piston Cup had to beg Kyle Trackson to reduce his schedule so that the Piston Cup wouldn't be as dangerous. 3rd on this list is John Retoline, who only raced for 5 Piston Cup seasons between 1970 and 1974, winning 3 races during that time. Good thing his career was so short because Piston Cup fans were afraid of John Retoline because the 3 times that he won a Piston Cup race, he would destroy lots of things at the track. and during the races, he would wreck so many cars, causing at least 10 career-ending crashes and ending the lives of 4 of his competitors. He would also receive 16 suspensions from the Piston Cup, a record, until a car that came after him would break that record. And he also made less than 100 Piston Cup starts because of all of the time that he spent suspended. But who's even worse than John Retoline? John Hicks, who raced from 1979 until 2010. John Hicks was responsible for so many career-ending crashes and even other racers losing their lives. John Hicks was so dangerous that other cars tried sabotaging his ability to qualify, and Piston Cup officials wouldn't do anything about it because they knew how dangerous John Hicks was. And also, he also threw a tire at Piston Cup fans because they booed him. That's wrong, John Hicks. And he also got a lot of suspensions for bad things that he did. And due to all of these bad things, he would finally be banned from the Piston Cup in 2010, midway through the season. But who could be even meaner? Number 1 on this list, Chick Hicks! The mean green car! Well, many of you thought that he would be number 1 on this list before this video. Even before his career, Piston Cup fans hated the mean green car because he cheered on Dale Earnhardt when he wrecked a bunch of cars. Considering Dale Earnhardt isn't even on this list, this shows how bad the mean green car is. And before his first start in the 1986 Florida 500, he would delay the race by 2.5 hours. And also, he would normally be very mean to Piston Cup fans that weren't fans of his. And also, he would wreck so many different cars, cause so many career-ending crashes, and even crashes that were so hard that the racers who suffered from them are no longer with us. And don't forget that he is easily the most hated Piston Cup racer. And unlike most of the other mean cars on this list, the mean green car had a long Piston Cup career. And also, he won 40 races, most often wrecking other cars to win those races, including his final win, which won him the 2005 Piston Cup. He wrecked the king in his final race to win that Piston Cup. And to this day, me and a lot of others believe that the mean green car did not deserve this Piston Cup. Even Hostile Takeover Bank, his primary sponsor for so many years, stopped sponsoring him after 2006. And also, Lightyear didn't even want to make his tires after 2007. So, the mean green car had to make his own tires. And there were many cheers in 2012 when the mean green car finally hung up his racing tires. And this Christmas, the mean green car, as well as the mean cars who are still mean, will be getting coal this Christmas. And from watching this video, you now know a few more things that you should not be doing, regardless if you're a Piston Cup racer or not.
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
What did you think of this list? Do you think that there should have been a different car on this list, aside from maybe Joey Logearno? Let me know in the comment section if there was another mean car that I did not mention this video that would deserve a spot on this list. At least none of them will be racing in the 15th race of 2016. The video covering that race will be coming out later this advent calendar. And another video will be coming out tomorrow. I spent this video talking about mean cars. Now what about a mean person in real life? One such mean person is Vladimir Putin, who began the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine over 1,000 days ago. This war has killed hundreds of thousands of people and led to millions being displaced. The Ukrainian people just wanted to live in peace and have freedom, but that tyrant and bully, Vladimir Putin, ended those dreams. Currently, Crimea, the Donbass, and parts of the Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, and Kherson oblasts are illegally occupied by Vladimir Putin's tyranny. Despite this, Ukraine has been able to take parts of Russia's Kursk Oblast. But despite this, every day it gets harder for Ukraine to win the war because of dwindling supplies. The big bully Putin has a lot more of those. But we here at the K.A. Bullets Piston Cup YouTube channel do not agree with what that bully is doing, as we stand with Ukraine in their struggle and in opposition to Vladimir Putin's tyranny, and also recognize Ukraine's true borders as shown by this map. Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava, Nechai Shvesia Daroretsia, Ukraini Permoha. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. May Ukraine be granted victory very soon.